What's up, everyone? My name is Monica, and I'm from geeksagogo.com. Welcome to ACEN 2021. We are discussing the diversity in cosplay panel for you today. And joining us today are a bunch of amazing cosplayers from all over Chicagoland. Let's go on ahead and get started. The man that needs no introduction. My amazing friend, Papa Bear.
Hello, appreciate that. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. So just really quick, a little about me. I'm Papa Bear, co-founder of Chicago People of Color Cosplayers. I'm an affiliate with TNT Cosplay, affiliate with Wizard World, a fan creator for the Sci-Fi Channel, and also a influencer for Warner Brothers.
Hi everyone, I'm Jenny. I have been cosplaying since 2013, I think it has been. So, you know, I deal with foam. I'm a foam builder. I am part of the Costumers with a Cause group. Also, we are Cosplay. And I like to show people how to make things. I'm also very much someone who is part of the community to build the community as well. So I'm your person to, build you up as well.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. I am Shar Starr. I've been cosplaying since 2014 and I primarily sew, but I dabble a little bit in different medias. I also am running a trivia company, H&W Trivia, that primarily focuses on Disney and basically everything under that umbrella. And I also, whenever I do have some spare time, like to participate in Costumers with a Cause, as well as We Are Cosplay. And I particularly like things that are glamorous, super sparkly. I am the love child of Elton John and Liberace. So if it has sparkle, more than likely it has Shar Starr included. Thanks again for having me.
Hello. Hi. Chicago Loki. I started cosplaying back in 2016. I literally jumped in full costume. I did not know anybody in the community. I just had the costume, loved the character, jumped right in, and I found an amazing community of people and friends and just people that are so accepting. And at that time, I was feeling very insecure about myself, didn't know who I was, felt kind of uncomfortable in my own skin. And when I got into that and I got into, cosplay, costume with a cause, I got into I went to Wizard World, I went to, ACEN, and I, amazingly, I met my fiance at a Comic-Con, Chi-Fi, funny enough, while I was in costume and she was a vendor. So cosplay changed my life so much, so significantly, and so much for the better. I moved to Michigan a few years ago, and I've been trying to get involved with that community as well, and also kind of encourage diversity and people to just feel comfortable, not like, oh, I got this costume I have to make from scratch. It's like, just go put that costume on, have a good time, just enjoy it. So I love everything about it.
All right. Well, you spoke a little bit about diversity in the community. Let's talk a little bit about why are we advocating for diversity, like specifically this group. So we have this particular group of people in our panel today because each one plays a really huge role in promoting diversity in our community. Let's go on ahead and get started with Jenny.
I like to see diversity in my hobbies and in cosplay, just because it's not cookie cutter. There's beauty in so many different things that comic books and basically anything that we have going for us, like movies and all that stuff. I like to see myself in that kind of thing, where growing up, I didn't really have that. Things were predominantly white in my area that I grew up in. So not growing up in a very diverse area kind of gives me a little bit of a, blinders on to the situation. So being part of the cosplay community, you see all these different types of people, walks of life, things like that, celebrating something that brings us together, which is nice. So that's why I like to have that diversity in cosplay as well.
It can be difficult to see yourself in main media, especially as I was younger. It was really difficult. And I just remember some of those key moments when I resonated with a character that I felt looked like me and it meant the world. So being able to see that within the community and to encourage others that come from different various backgrounds, it can make the world of difference because everyone has the opportunity to showcase their imagination. And if we keep it very limited and not inclusive, we're missing out on so much more beautiful potential that is out there. And I know that if it wasn't for the force of the nature as far as our community, I can't even imagine where I would have been without my creativity. So I hope that others can have that experience as well.
And Chris, you're a big proponent of course, the Chicago POC community. Like, how does that play a role in keeping or promoting the diversity in our community?
Well, it's, cosplay is not a one size fits all. And, for me, it was always about trying to get more diverse faces in nerd spaces and creating environments where everybody can feel like on some level they have some representation, because representation is important. Even, trying to cosplay and starting out, it's like, well, who looks like me that makes costumes and does what I do. And just trying to find some level of some interest level with someone else that you can connect with on that level, whether you're plus size or whatever your skin color is, whatever your orientation is. It is important to see people like you participate in some of the things that you like to do, for various reasons, and oftentimes that's been missing. But it's getting, it's getting better now as so many of us work to create these environments, and we've all done our parts, to do that locally in Chicago, for sure. So I feel like now it's throughout all our efforts, it's a much better place. But to go into a convention and go to the cosplay area, or to go into the artist area and things like that, but specifically because we're talking about cosplay, to go in those areas and see a Black cosplayer, an Hispanic cosplayer, a plus size cosplayer, do panels and represent the hobby, as we know it. And for you to be one of those groups is very encouraging. As an aspiring cosplayer to do that, it's very encouraging to be plus size and see a plus size person, be a professional cosplayer and do panels and do things like that. Because now you can take that image and be like, well, I can do that too. Okay, they're doing it, I can do it too. This Black person's doing it, I can do it too. This LGBTQ person's doing it, I can do it too. And that's why representation, in those spaces is important, because it keeps the community growing and it keeps everybody inspired to continue to be in the craft. When you look around and it's just one type of person cosplaying that you see, as professional cosplayers, just one type of person, it can be demoralized, because like, well, why even bother? Because no one's gonna look at me, or no one's gonna care about what I'm doing and things like that. So, you break down those barriers when you have representation, that people aren't afraid to then venture out and do their own thing, because they have an example of somebody who's done it, somebody who's broken down those barriers before. So that's why it's important to continue to fight to get more diversity in all these spaces.
And with that too, like, so with Kim, I'm just curious to find out from somebody from the LGBTQ community, do you think that there should be more representation from the LGBTQ community when cosplaying or geeking out, or do you think it's a little bit more common these days?
Well, I think when I first started, I don't think it was quite as common. I think people were kind of a little shy about, kind of coming out about that. I was kind of very fortunate to have friends that were very encouraging, and I think also, with me kind of cross, playing with, I was a masculine Loki as opposed to like a feminine Loki, and that, and people being accepting of that. And also I encountered other people that were of that community as well while, in my cosplay, but I didn't feel like it was as front and center. And I felt a little like not like as vocal about it, and being a little afraid to be vocal about it. But I felt like as I kind of started to learn, more friends and more people that were involved with, in that community. And of course, I met my fiance, who, at the con too. And that really made me, because I was in that comfortable setting, I didn't feel afraid to kind of express myself. And I feel like it's becoming more open, but I always say there should be even more so, and also being very welcoming, especially if somebody's coming in and like finding their safe space. Because I feel like cosplay, it should be a safe space, and people should feel comfortable to express themselves. And just to grow in that sort of thing, I think would be amazing, especially if I find somebody else that, they're like, oh, I'm afraid to show that side of myself, that they feel welcome always.
I know we were talking earlier about looking for the diversity in media, in comic books, and some character that you can emulate with, right? When you started out cosplaying, who was that character for you? And what makes that character kind of like, like it kind of like solidifies like, yes, I'm diverse, I'm gonna cosplay this character and it's gonna be amazing, and I'm going, like this is gonna be fun for me and it's safe. Like, let's start with Shar this time.
Okay, so for me, anime wise, I would say it was Boa Hancock. She is from One Piece, and I am curvy and voluptuous, and I love my heels. And she is this badass woman that can do it all. And I just felt that I could embody her and have fun and be playful with it. And I mean, she just has an iconic role and look. Outside of anime, it was Princess Jasmine. That is the first character that, as a little girl, the first character I saw on screen, I was like, there's someone that looks like me on screen. And to be able to cosplay as her, and especially my first introduction was with a charity event, it just was such a magical moment for me. So those characters most definitely do make the biggest difference.
Well, kind of obvious. It's Chicago Loki, but I have like a really cool story about that. So I watched Dark World, and Loki just kind of resonated. I was like, he was like kind of everything I didn't feel at the time. I didn't feel confident. He was confident. He spoke up. He was sassy. He was smart. He was like 10 steps ahead of everybody. And having that confidence. And so I ordered the costume. I never planned to cosplay. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I'm just like, oh, he's got such a cool costume. I want that. So then I put it on, and all of a sudden I felt like, oh, it's just got this gravity to it. It's got this long coat. I feel very noticeable, like move and you feel very recognized. And I was like, I want to cosplay him. I think it would be so fun. And so I went and did that. And it helped me, the character helped me grow into my own skin, because then I kind of brought that confidence to myself. I felt okay to kind of come out about who I was. And the nature also in mythology with Loki is he's very gender fluid too. So I was like, I can resonate with that. Like, he could be a man, he could be a woman. He's comfortable feeling both. And that character really helped me kind of grow as a person and change my life pretty much.
So for me, this goes way back. Ghostbusters with Winston in Ghostbusters. That was like the first character that I gravitated to, because he was cool. Obviously, because it's a Ghostbusters, so it's instantly cool. And I was a kid growing up, in the 80s when that was like a huge deal, and it's still a big deal now. And to me, that was just the coolest thing. Like there was this awesome Ghostbuster who looked like me, and he got to do cool stuff. And so that stuck with me all the way throughout my adult fandom. And I remember when I first put my Ghostbuster together, how cool it felt to kind of. And I used to wear the costume as a kid, back when everything was plastic. And I remember, putting together now as an adult and having like the whole jumpsuit and the whole bit. And it was just like a full circle moment for me that I got to kind of realize my fandom, from as a kid till now, resonating through that character. And so, and that's, again, that's part of the reason why, representation is so important, because that stuck with me for a long, long time. But yeah, Ghostbusters for sure was, and I got to meet, Ernie Hudson because he's at cons quite a bit. So that was also pretty cool too. But yeah, that was huge for me.
I had to think about this one because it's been a minute. I mean, been cosplaying for a while, but I think I'm gonna go with Danny Moonstar. I ended up doing the Valkyrie version of her in 2014, I believe it was. I'm dating myself. Um, but this was the very first foam build that I've ever done. And the confidence that I found through just building that by myself and actually presenting it at Wizard World that year, was something different for me. It was one of those things that I was always very shy. I was always the person that was like on the back wall, like, oh, hey, what's going on? I'm not the forefront. But as soon as I walked onto that floor with that costume on, it was just bam, hey, I'm here. I am a Valkyrie, and the fact that she looks like me, she's Native American. I have some of those features as well because I'm Mexican. But she was so powerful, and she's an X-Men person, whatever. I love it. And that's why I'm picking her.
If someone were to approach you, how would you tell them to make geek spaces safe spaces? Like Chris was saying earlier, right? You'd like to promote diverse spaces and nerd spaces. How do you tell people or show people to keep it safe? One. And two, how did you handle a hard situation that you were put in because of diversity?
So for me, anytime that I'm going to any con, what I want to do is I want to always bring diverse people with me. I never really go at it alone. So and it becomes difficult. Like if you travel, you have to actually find someone in that area, and then you have to build relationships across the country and things like that. But it's all in the effort to have to show the convention that these type of things are important to these group of people, and you should have them anytime you have an event. So what I like to do is at conventions, I love to run diversity panels, or any panel that I'm on. I like to have all types of people on the panel that I'm on, because you have to. No one's just going to give you the space. You have to make the space,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's important. You have to be that bridge to then bring people along, because no one's just gonna automatically just give that to you. And it's not necessarily the fault of the showrunner, because if you're not in that position, it's something you don't think about. Now, you could argue whether or not they should be thinking about it because you run the show, but it's not necessarily on the top of the mind when you run an entire show. So you as a cosplayer then have to make that a priority for them. And so for me, I have panels I like to do. I have people that I need to bring on for these particular panels. And then that creates representation at the panel itself. And then people are at my table, and you build from there, and the list goes on. But you have to create the exposure for other people to actually be in these places and things like that. And I haven't gotten any pushback from what I've wanted to do or having a diversity panel like that, because that's part of the reason. Like, if I'm going to come there, this is what I need to do to come there, or I'll just sit at home and I'll be fine. But if I'm going to be there, this is what I need to do. These are the panels that I need to run, and they're going to have all shapes and sizes, all shades of colors, and all orientations. And that's just what it is. And I've had good receptions to that, because it's not something that they just automatically think about. But bringing it to the forefront, you have to explain that this is why this is important, because, and the panels always, well, for the most part, they run well because people are interested in seeing different perspectives. Okay. I had a situation where I was doing a diversity panel, and we were talking about blackface and why, you're just not supposed to do it. And this one guy was just defending why it's just not a big deal. And so in those situations, you have to kind of, because you don't want the whole panel to blow up over one topic. So you get instances like that where you can explain why things are bad, and you can explain why the cultural significance or the social significance of what's happening and things like that. Now the guy went back and forth, but at the end of it, I was able to kind of reel it in and finish the panel. But you run the risk of getting into conversations like that when you talk about diversity, because people don't know or they don't care, and so they ask. And I think in this guy's case, he was like trying to troll the panel. Okay, which is fine, but it's still conversations that need to happen, and conversations you can't be afraid to have if you're going to be an advocate for more diversity. So I've been doing this so long that I can take that. It's not a big deal. Like, I can have the panel, we can have a conversation, we can totally disagree. I'm not going to let you blow my panel up, and keep it moving. But you have to create the space, and you have to make that way, because no one's just going to give it to you. And I get it. It's like, everybody can't be a guest and go to cons and all that stuff. I get it. But no matter what position you're in, no matter if you started cosplaying today, if you're doing it for 10 years, everybody, no matter what you're doing, can like and share and comment a diverse cosplayer. Everybody can do that. You don't have to be A1 level. Anybody can like, comment, and share. And that's just another way to create representation. You don't have any material for your own page, like, comment, and share somebody that you connect with, that looks like you, that has your same sexual orientation, that has your same belief system. That creates representation. Because I understand, like, everybody can't just bring people with them, but you can always like, comment, and share whatever it is that you want to see more of in the community. Anybody's able to do that, and that's what we should all be doing all the time. If we're talking about diversity and creating inclusivity and expanding the hobby, we should all be doing that for all the things that we actually want to see in the hobby.
Jenny, did you want to talk about like how to keep spaces safe for diverse individuals such as ourselves, and any encounters that you've had that you were able to handle?
I feel like Papa Bear touched base on a lot of things that I think is going through all of our minds. But in terms of creating safe space, I use my social media a lot to hype other people up and share other people's things, just because that's the kind of stuff that I like to see. And I'm sure that a lot of people that are following me on social media would like to see the same thing. In terms of creating that safe space, I think it's our responsibility to step up for other people when we see things that are not happening, happening in a negative aspect, like someone calling out someone else for, I think one of the big ones that we see constantly and typically are, oh, that's the Black version of blah, 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 or whatever. It doesn't have to have that negative, calling the person out because of their race. It shouldn't be like that. It should just be, oh, you're Captain America. Cool. Sweet. You look awesome. Just being there for people that are dealing with that. Typically on my end, like, I feel like it's easier for me to stand up for other people when I'm running into conflict like that with something that pertains to myself. It's a lot harder. I don't know why that is, but I'm more to the point where I'm going to stand up for all my friends. I'm going to go after whoever is coming for them. But whenever it comes to me, like, I get very like, ooh, what do I do? How do I combat this? What do I do for someone coming for me? Ooh, and it's a lot easier to stand up for someone else whenever they're facing those types of adversities. You have to educate people. If someone is going after my friend, I'm going to be there for them. I'm going to tell them why they're wrong about their viewpoints and kind of, get them to be more diverse in their thinking as well.
So to piggyback off what Jenny was saying with, the Black Batman, or the Black version of the character. Now I do Green Lantern, and so everybody assumes that it's John Stewart because John Stewart's a Black Green Lantern. But I could be Hal Jordan, I could be Kyle, I could be any Green Lantern. It doesn't have to be, said Black version of this character just because it's Green Lantern. And that's, that's part of what Jenny was talking about. It's just the costume. Now I love Green Lantern, but I'm not like the Black version of that. I'm just a Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And that's, that's the whole idea. I'm not the Black Batman, it's just Batman. The skin color is not the costume. The costume is a costume. So I'm glad you brought that up, Jenny, because that's another important part of this piece, is that people want to just put you in their categories.
Yeah.
But you're your own category.
Yeah, we want to be seen as the character, not for what we are plus the character.
Exactly.
And I know I'm putting in a little bit of a spoiler here. So if you watch Winter Soldier and Falcon and Winter Soldier, Falcon is my absolutely favorite like Marvel superhero. I know that's I there was a scene, and I know I'm giving this away, but it's kind of like relevant to our panel. This kid saw him while he was walking down the street, and he's like, "Hey, are you the Black Captain America?" And he's like, "Why do I have to be the Black Captain America? Why can't I just be Captain America?" And I like that they put that scene in there, because that happens a lot. Like even with like just among friends. Oh, your race plus whatever character you're cosplaying. It's like, why can't I just be the character I'm cosplaying? I don't get it.
Right.
You know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Do you ever what about Shar? Like, what do you think about the whole safe space and handling like situations?
I think that the safe spaces are crucial to encourage people to not only join the spaces, but to actually stay, because I know I've heard of many nightmares where people just didn't feel comfortable being themselves in the group. And I think that one area that people can look at on a smaller scale that can expand even more largely is microaggressions. And I know we just kind of touched base on it now as far as addressing people by their ethnicity and the cosplay character, or even their size, because I know we've seen some of the tropes of like the fat Spider-Man or something along those lines. Try, especially like among your peers, just try to approach things with a more open mind, and try to not assume that that cosplayer is going to gravitate automatically to someone that resembles them. For example, if you're going to do a cosplay group or suggest cosplayers characters, don't assume that they're going to always go for the ones that are their same ethnicity. That is a microaggression, because it's like, okay, are you just picking this person because they're the same race as me, or do you think that we have other interests or something that may attract them? And you really limit yourself. And a lot of these are frequently coming from like an innocent point of view, and it's not meant to be from a malicious point, but it's something that people need to be more aware of and just learn from it. And that way it can help the community be better. Like, for example, with Wonder Woman, as we've all said, that she has many various looks, many various characters. If a Black person is cosplaying them, they're not automatically Nubia. If a Latina is cosplaying, they're not automatically Yara, our latest one. So just things that like that, and just being aware and educating yourself. And it can be uncomfortable, but it's a good conversation to have. And sometimes it's easier to say than do, but I think that it's really important. Same thing with size and gender and sexual orientation. Just take the moment, and if you're unsure, ask questions and learn.
I like that you mentioned size, because I have a friend who's a little bit, you know, he's more of a plus size guy, and every time someone asks him to cosplay, they always ask him to cosplay the big guys, Kingpin, or like, why does it have to be that? Why can't he just cosplay whatever he wants? And we had a conversation, and I kind of get where he's coming from, because it's like, I've been told, like, oh, your size doesn't fit this character, because I'm a little bit, I have an odd shape. Okay. Not necessarily pear, not necessarily apple, but I'm kind of like a sweet potato. Okay. I'm a sweet potato. And it's an odd shape. I'm an odd shape. Okay. And I love my odd shape. And yeah, like I would get comments be like, oh yeah, you have an odd shape. Your silhouette does not fit the character. And I'm like, well, too bad for you. I just love this character so much. I'm just gonna do it, regardless of what people say, right? Kim, let's go to you. About safe space and handling difficult situations.
Okay. Well, I've been listening. Everybody has chimed in with so many amazing things. And I kept thinking, I don't want to talk about this, but I kind of feel like I need to talk about this. And, because it was such an uncomfortable situation. I had like a male stalker a few years ago. And, I kept saying, no, I'm not interested, and I don't want, and he was like following me around and like cons and stuff like that. And that kind of violating the safe space. And and I was like telling other groups about it, telling other people about it, because he would kind of target other women too. And to try to create that safe space. And I always am kind of also on the lookout too, like if I feel like, there's like somebody that like is a lone person and they look like they're getting uncomfortable, or if there's somebody that's bothering them, to kind of take them out of, that situation where, like, hey, you hear there's a panel going on, you want to go over, that sort of thing, to kind of diffuse it. But it was funny because before I had that sort of experience, I didn't have my antenna up about it. But weirdly enough, I had experiences when I first started cosplaying, like guys thinking that was like kind of a license to kind of hug you and touch you and stuff like that, and getting all up in your space and be like, oh, I love Loki, and they have their arm around you. They didn't even ask, you just went and did it. And I was like, why do you think because I'm wearing this costume? And that's also another thing. Your costume should not dictate anybody's behavior, that shouldn't be a license for them to do, to be like, kind of all up on you and stuff. And one of the reasons I started wearing horns, and this is kind of an odd story besides, I just thought it made it look cool. Once I put on the horns, it made me very tall and it made me very intimidating to some people I wanted to be intimidating to. So once I did that, I was like, this is amazing. They're not bothering me. They're not touching me. They're not getting my space. And I'm, that's something that needs to be addressed, and they, cosplay is not consent. And I feel like that's something that still needs to be addressed and still needs to be kind of looked into, because I feel like sometimes people feel like, oh yeah, you're wearing this costume because you want me. And I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that is so not the reason. But I feel like it's just something we need to continue to improve on, and for people to feel safe and not feel like, oh, I can't wear this because, they're going to think I'm something, like a slut, or I want to be touched, or I want, what, it's something that needs to be looked at and something we need to kind of move forward in.
Mm-hmm. And I like that you mentioned that the whole, they're telling you that you're dressing for them. I feel like I have friends from like a few friends of mine from the LGBTQ community, when they cosplay certain characters and they're female. I think it mostly happens to females when they wear something. Men automatically think that they're getting it for the male gaze, the male attention, and that's quite unfortunate. Is just something that they want to wear. It's their cosplay. I've kind of like, I remembered you talking to me about that guy. Actually, I did remember that, and it was quite unfortunate. You kind of like distance yourself for a little bit because of that experience, and I'm so glad that you're coming back, and like starting to feel safe again, because there has been changes. Cons have been taking it a little bit seriously, but I think they need to do more. I think more still needs to be done. And of course, if you yourselves, if the audience, if any one of you experience something like this, you need to speak up. You need to say something, because that's the only way we can prevent these type of things from happening. You can't just keep a tight lip and be like, oh, well, nobody's going to believe me or whatever. You have to speak up. It's really important for these showrunners and conventions to know if they do have a safe space for everybody. They're not always going to know because they're busy running the show. There's just so much going on. But yep.
I also want to chime in too. Also to take it seriously, because I remember when I first mentioned it, people didn't take it seriously. They were like, "Oh, really? Are you sure?" Don't ever say to a woman like, "Are you sure?" Like that's almost kind of like a victim. Like, "Oh, you're overreacting. You're being over emotional." Don't like be receptive to this person. It takes them a lot of guts. It takes them a lot of strength to come up and say, "Hey, this happened to me." And I don't ever want anybody to feel like I'm not going to come up about it because they're going to think, I'm crazy or emotional, or they're very popular and they think I'm just trying to draw attention to myself. Take it seriously, look into it. Don't just brush it off. Don't wait until it's another woman or two that comes forward, because it should never get to that point where another few women have to come forward with that.
So let's do a round of like, if there's anything you would like to add with regards to your experiences in the convention scene or in the community at all, about diversity. Let's get started with Chris.
If I could add anything, it would be, always, create your own space. If you feel like you're the only person in your community that looks like you that does it, get more people. Find those folks. There's groups out there that you can reach out to, other cosplayers out there that you can reach out to. And, don't be afraid to be an advocate for what you want to see in the cosplay community. It's a lot of work. It's difficult sometimes. But if you're not doing it, it's not going to get done. And that's the type of attitude that you have to have in order to create, a bigger community amongst, what you'd like to see more of. So always be an advocate for what you want to see. Don't be afraid to go get what you want. And if anything, like, share, comment, other diverse faces in cosplay.
And where can everyone find you on social media?
So I am, Facebook, IG, Twitter, all at Papa Bear Cosplay. You can type me in there. You can just Google Papa Bear Cosplay and everything will pop up. Or you can go to my website, papabearstudios.com.
Okay. Jenny, any last words and your social media?
Sure. I think Papa Bear did a nice job about putting everything in a nice, neat little package. But, surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with the diversity that you want to see in life and on social media. Because social media is like a huge thing for us now where, on our breaks, we go to social media and we're scrolling. You want to see positive and you want to see yourself in that type of stuff as well. As you mentioned too, share other creators, share other things that you resonate with, just to get yourself out there and to get other people out there that look like you, that you resonate with as well. Yeah, and if you, like you said before, if you see something, say something, be a positive advocate for other people as well, instead of just, oh, they didn't mean that, or, be the positive role model and the positive change that you're wanting to see. If you're speaking to your friends and you hear some of those microaggressions coming out and things, be the person to step up and be an ally for other people. Be the person that steps up and says, hey, maybe that's wrong, maybe we should think about it this way. Just be the positive that you want to see in the world, and it will follow you. So as far as my social media and all that, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, also Etsy, at Prado's Projects. I do have my own small business as well. I forgot to mention that at the beginning as well.
One thing that I would say to add after everything that we've covered, learn to read the room. If you see that cosplayer or that creative person and they seem a little uncomfortable, but then they have that classic look that like this is their first time on the floor, if you feel comfortable enough, approach them, and even just the smallest compliment or words of encouragement or just inviting them to a safe space can make the biggest difference in the world. And as cliche as it sounds, it is rewarding to see their faces light up and just to see them relax a little bit and feel more comfortable. So I strongly encourage you to do that. As far as my handles, Facebook, Instagram, Shar Starr Cosplay, and I am on TikTok and Twitter as well for Shar Starr. And thanks again.
And finally, Kim.
Okay, well, everybody has like said so many amazing things. It's like kind of hard to chime in at the end with all of these great things are covered. But yeah, I as far as diversity, I know when I first started, there was a big premium on like, you don't have the right body type, you don't have the right face type. I mean, like, I don't have blue eyes, Tom Hiddleston with blue eyes. It's like you don't have all these things, and I'm like, go and cosplay what you love. I always say, put the play back in cosplay, have fun. Somebody, I feel like people are like, oh, it's got to be perfect. I got to look perfect. I got to be this kind of person. And I would just be like, go enjoy yourself. Don't let people put yourself in a box, go and, it's like, if anything, it's our job to get, explode out of the box and like show how amazing we are, show our personality, show our creativity, just let ourselves shine. And I'm all for also like if there's a new cosplayer or somebody just starting out, and be like, encourage them, say something good about them, include them in the community if they wish to be in the community. So my social media, I just kind of forgot. I'm on Instagram, Chicago Loki, as well as Facebook for Chicago Loki too. So
Diversity is such a broad topic. I know it's not a lot of people are comfortable discussing diversity, but there are so many resources. This panel is one of them. Listen to your friends who are people of color, and um, do your own research. Just be proactive about being that person who includes diversity and promotes it in your community. Because at the end of the day, we're all here to have fun. And at the end of the day, it is so much better to go to a place where we're all welcoming. I know it's not a perfect world, but we can get there as long as everyone just be more open and accepting of each other. So thank you so much for watching our panel and hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for hosting this.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for being here, guys. You guys are amazing. All right,
Thank you
bye,
so much.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.